screen time and managing your energy and how you're going to move into the next week. So we've had a bit of a busy week this week. In fact, the last 2 weeks have been pretty crazy in terms of how much time we've had on screens in front of people doing lives like this or doing live training. None of the training that we have provided this week or in the last 2 weeks has been pre-recorded. So it's required us to front up, have our cameras on, be in front of the computer, using a lot of energy to present. And it's quite different when you're speaking to someone over camera than it is when you're speaking face to face. There's a different energy about it. There's a different workflow to it. And we're finding that you finish the day much more tired than if you were in person meetings all day. And so I don't know if you found that to be the case, that, you know, you finish a 60 or a 90-minute meeting, or hopefully not even longer than that, and you back up a few of those, and then at the end of the day, you just feel shattered. So there is a different energy to presenting online than there is to being in person, whether you're having meetings and so on. And obviously there's some benefits to it. You've got the ability to sit in maybe your pajama bottoms and just have a decent top on top. I was joking with my team yesterday that it got to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I just suddenly stopped and realized that I hadn't even gotten dressed. I just literally jumped out of bed, put a jumper on, and was presenting in a jumper all day. Hadn't put a shirt on underneath that and still had my pajama bottoms on down the bottom. And so, you know, there are some benefits to it, and there are some opportunities to you know, be a little bit more relaxed, I guess, in some of the ways that we present. So if you've got any questions about managing your screen time, feel free to put them into the chat below, and hopefully I'll see them, and more than happy to answer those for you. I want to give you a couple of resources today as well that will just help you with this, but really want to help you think this through. If you're a leader or a manager in your organization, then you need to be thinking about policy around this. If you're a teacher working with students, you need to think this through. And if you're just self-managing yourself, this is some tips, I guess, from the front line in terms of how do we manage our energy. We're seeing some companies are saying no meetings before 11 and no meetings after 4 because they're realizing that their energy levels are depleting quite quickly if they're in meetings all day. Not sure if that's the right approach. For me personally, I'd probably prefer to have my meetings early in the morning, get the day started, but then take some time in the middle of the day, hopefully to go sit in the sun with your laptop or something. Doesn't mean you're not working, but at least you're just having that disconnect. Definitely makes a difference if you're out walking, if you can just move your body a little bit, and you know, all of these things do add up over time. So yeah, it's been a big week for us, and we've just trained well over 3,000 people. I think we've close to 3,100 people this week. We've basically had 2 conferences running simultaneously. One conference had about 2,000 people in it, and another one for a state organization had about 600, 700, 800. And then we had a few little webinars that were running on the sides, and some one-off bespoke trainings for organizations as well. And so the big conference that we ran with about 2,000 teachers in it, we basically pulled that together in a week. So if you think about putting on a conference, we had a main stage, we had breakout rooms, we had multiple concurrent sessions running where teachers could opt into sessions. If you think about what it would take to normally pull together a conference for 2,000 people, including keynote speakers and sessions and all of that, ticketing, the whole bit, even though it was free, we still had to use a ticketing system. If you think about the complexities and how long that would normally take to get that off the ground, like the team did an amazing job pulling that together in about a week and then delivering it during the week after that. So there's amazing possibilities and opportunities that get afforded to us when you have to go online and you just work for it. So we talk a lot about screen time for kids, and how do we manage screen time, and how do we make sure that our students or our kids aren't on computers too much. And I think this is now becoming in focus for adults as well. How do I manage my screen time as an adult when I'm presenting, whether I'm teaching, whether I'm in meetings, meeting with clients, meeting with staff members, and so on. And so I want to put a link into chat for you right now, and hopefully this is going to pop up for you in whichever, yep, I think it did. So wherever you're watching this, whether it's on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube, this should come through. It looks like maybe it didn't come through on Facebook. So let me just put this up on the screen for you in case it didn't work for you. utb.fyi and then /remote learning. If you go to that page right there, there's a whole lot of links and tips that you can access for remote teaching, but also take some of that into remote working. A lot of it's focused on teachers and students and parents helping teachers through. But at the top of that document, what you'll find is there's this link here. And I'm going to drop this into chat for you as well. It's for how to manage screen time on an iPad. And this has been one of the most requested features that we've been asked for by parents. And so let me just put this one up on the screen for you as a link. It's utb.fyi and then /screen time. And if you go to that one, it's a video that shows you how you can limit screen time for students. So you can turn on, or your kids, so you can turn on apps on or off, you can turn on the internet on or off, you can basically lock the iPad out at certain times. And so the way we do that is we have a discussion as our family. How does this look? What are we going to be able to do? And then you put a special code in, and then once that discussion is had, and probably there'll be a bit of argument backwards and forwards, and people telling you this is not fair. But once it happens, it just happens automatically, and the kids get ready for it. But for you, obviously, you're not going to put password protections on your own devices, and so if you want to look at different ways to be able to manage your own screen time, there's a couple of things that you need to just be aware of. The first one is, because there is a different kind of energy when you're presenting, then there is a different way that you need to manage your energy. And it's a different kind of tide. We've already talked about that. It's just, you get to the end of the day and you feel exhausted from it, but you haven't necessarily done any more than what you would have done if you're in person. And so we can go into a school or a business and present all day and come out and, we're a bit tired from it. But there is definitely a different type of tide around this. So don't think that because you are on your screen and you're not necessarily, you can't necessarily just keep the same workflow, the same cadence that you've got coming up. You will need to manage your calendar well, and you'll need to build into your calendar buffer times when you're not available for calls. So one of the things we would suggest you do is look ahead in your calendar, block out some times for you to get projects done, maybe to go for a walk, be away from your screen, have time to think, and those sorts of things. And just make sure that there's the rest of your team or your students know that you're not available at those times. There's two sayings that we use all the time at Using Technology Better. And that first saying is that you need to manage your energy and not your time. So when you're looking at your calendar, don't think that you need to be available from 9 till 5 or 8 till 4 or whatever your normal working hours are. It's a little bit different to that, and we're seeing that you need to be a little bit more flexible in your work arrangement. So let me put this one in again. So I'm going to put this into chat as a reminder for you. So manage your energy, not your time. So with this concept is that you really need to be reflecting, you need to be self-aware, you need to be wondering and looking at how is it looking for me, and how am I feeling about this? So we're very used to managing our time, but now there's a different element to this. And this is something that's going to take a bit of trial and error, where you will probably push the boundaries a little bit, know where those boundaries are, and then be able to pull back. So really start to think about this. The other one that we use all the time is buckets, not balance. And so let me put this into chat for you as well. Buckets, not balance. And then one of the things about this is that sometimes you just can't have balance. You just can't balance family at home. You can't just balance your work relationships and your commitments to work and commitments to clients and so on. And so you feel like you're out of balance. And so one of the things you need to understand about this is that balance is like a myth, the way I see it, because if you're in balance, you're not moving, you're stationary. Everything is still, you're in balance. we don't ever want to be in balance. We want to be progressing and we want to be moving. And so one of the things that you'll notice that when you walk, or if you teach a child to walk for the first time, is that they're very unbalanced. They put themselves out of balance to take a step, and then they put themselves out of balance to take the next step. So every time you're making a movement, you're actually putting your balance out. But what you learn as a child is how to manage that balance. So when you're out of balance, you're counteracting your body so you're not falling over all the time. And so when we're looking at work-life balance, or we're looking at how we're managing our screen time or our energy, be okay with the fact that you're going to be out of balance in one area, but then you'll come into balance in another area. And so we look at different buckets or that we want to balance out. We look at our family bucket, we look at our energy bucket, we look at our financial buckets, we look at our relationship buckets, we look at our work buckets and what we're doing in terms of productivity and output. And so you keep an eye on all of these buckets, and you're just managing them, and you're looking at it and going, okay, I'm really depleting my energy around work at the moment, and I feel like family's missing out and so on. That's okay, because if you can manage that, what you can do is switch off from work and then really focus on that family or relationship bucket and fill that one back up, and then let it drain down again as you're pouring out of another one and filling another bucket up that way. So when you're working around this concept of buckets, not balance, just be aware of all the different commitments you have, the different places that your energy is going to, and then really take the time to manage that. So if you're watching online and you're live with us, if you've got any questions, more than happy to be able to stay with you and answer those questions. Hopefully I'll see those just come up here. If there's a comment or a question and I haven't noticed it, I'll certainly see it later on, and I'll come back and respond to it today. So if a couple of last little thoughts as we wrap up on our Good Friday edition of managing our screen time and managing our energy. If you're a manager, one of the things, or a leader in your organization, I'd encourage you to put a question into your monthly reports, or however your cadence is with your team, communicating back to them about how they're going. One of the questions we ask all the time is, what's your capacity like? We're not talking about capacity in terms of how many projects have you got on your plate. What we're asking is, how are you feeling right now? So you might have a lot on, but your energy levels are great and you're like, bring it on. Or you may be in a place where you don't have that much on, in terms of you look at your calendar and it's pretty empty, but you're just wiped out. And so as a manager or as a leader, I want to know these things so that I can help load the team differently at different times. And as a team, you want to work as a team. If someone's got a low bucket and somebody's feeling pretty good, like, load them up for a bit and then know that that will come back around in terms of the team, and they'll get paid back later on. So put it into your workflow in how you work through that. If you want to have a look at any other tips that we've got around managing screen time, and so on, then one of the things that you can, one of the resources that we have for you is our usingtechnologybetter.com website. And on that, there are so many videos and tips and tricks and blog posts and articles around how we use technology better to improve efficiency and workplace productivity, teaching and learning, and so on. I've just dropped that into the chat for you. So jump over there and just use the search button and search. One of the great articles that we've got in that is talking about improvement, and it talks about the 1% improvement model, where if you just improve what you're doing by 1%, then you'll find that you can make massive gains over time. So let me just get you this link as we wrap up, and you'll find that there is just trying to find it. 1 second. Come up in this search. What I will do is just put it in the chat in a second. No, I can't find it. So it's a 1% improvement plan. So basically, every day you just try to improve 1%, and after that, you'll find that just like 2 months down the track, you're actually 100% better than you were before you even started. So really encourage you to think about, you don't have to make major changes. You don't need to radically change things around. You just need to make little improvements, little adjustments to how you're managing your energy and your time, and then you will find that you'll make a massive difference in terms of how things are going. I can see here Tony's just said, thanks watching from New Zealand. Thanks for tuning in today, Tony. I hope that you're having a great long weekend and that some of these tips have been able to help you out. Excellent, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap up today. Hopefully this has given you something to think about. Hopefully you get some time off screen over Easter, over the long weekend. And if there's anything that we can do to be able to help you, whether you're a teacher or whether you're not in business or government, to be able to move to remote teaching or remote learning, let us know, and we're more than happy to be able to help. On our website, there's a contact us button. Just click that, drop in how we can help, and we'll be back in touch with you very, very soon. Anyhow, I'm off to grab a coffee and a hot cross bun and spend some time with the family. But thanks for hanging out this morning, and we will talk to you next week when we're back with more tips over a cup of tea with using technology better. Have a great day, everyone.